At last left, the lone wanderer, they finally escaped from the Enclave's horrible wrath by way of the super-secret tunnels underneath the Jefferson Memorial, which led out to none other than the Pentagon, the place that was now called the Citadel, and was held by the Brotherhood of Steel, the Lion's Pride chapter, to be exact. Now on site, it was time to chat up more of the Brotherhood and formulate a plan going forward. This is Fallout 3!
Welcome back.
Need something, friend?
Zoop. There we are. And let's do exactly that. We got a lot of talking and reading. This might just be one of those talking and reading videos, you know? Scribe Jameson, before you leave.
If we value the pursuit of knowledge, we must be free to follow wherever that search may lead us. I found that in an ancient book. The words of wisdom of one of the greatest men of the former civilization.
Who said that? I don't know. Scribe Jameson, I'm incredibly stupid. I have 2 int, maybe still 1. Somehow I became twice as smart as I used to be by picking up a toy bobblehead, if you can believe it. I literally doubled my intelligence by just picking up a toy. It's incredible. Tell me a little bit about the scribes.
Well, there are a number of orders within the scribes, each dedicated to a specific area of research.
What are the orders?
The Order of the Sword is responsible for weapons research and development. Guns, ammunition, anything of a defensive nature. Defensive research is done by the Order of the Shield. Power armor, defensive structures, anything that is intended to protect us. The Order of the Quill preserves the written knowledge of the ancients, seeking out all manner of books and holotapes.
What order are you a part of?
Actually, I am Proctor of the Order of the Quill. I oversee the archives and library here in the Citadel.
That makes
We
sense.
are dedicated to preserving the history of the Brotherhood, as well as unearthing the secrets of the pre-war civilizations. We have a single field associate, Scribe Yearling. She operates out of the former Library of Congress to the northeast.
Oh. I think maybe I met that Scribe Yearling. That's all I needed.
Certainly.
Okay. So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
Quite a few. But most are distinctly unladylike and unworthy of discussion. I will tell you that the Brotherhood has encountered the Enclave before, and their motives were just as sinister then as they are now.
Okay. Care to share anything about the super mutants?
The Brotherhood has been battling super mutants for decades. First out west, then in Chicago, now here. But
Chicago.
this group of super mutants is different somehow. Physically, yes, but mentally as well. If we knew where they came from, we'd know why.
God, wasn't Chicago Fallout Brotherhood of Steel? The, late 90s, early aughts game that everybody hates? That nobody likes? Okay. I have some questions about the Brotherhood.
Ah, one of my favorite subjects, of course. What would you like to know?
What does the Brotherhood believe?
We believe in technology, in the triumph of the creations of the ancients over the horrors and evils of the wasteland. We believe in trust. Trust in technology. Trust in our fellow brothers. Trust in our elders. Ah, and we believe in victory. Our forces have dwindled, but still we fight on. Super mutant, Enclave, it matters not. Surrender is not an option.
Okay. Who are the members of the Brotherhood?
Elder Lyons leads us. Star Paladin Cross is his seneschal. Sentinel Lyons, the Elder's daughter, commands the Lion's Pride, our elite combat squad. The Paladins lead the Knights. The Knights are the core of the Brotherhood. They scour the waste to eliminate evil and recover technology. Scribe Rothschild oversees the scribes in their duties to seek knowledge and restore the technology the Brotherhood has acquired.
What about the Brotherhood's history in this area?
We first arrived in the Capital Wasteland in 2255. In those first couple of years, we discovered the Citadel, super mutants, and Project Purity. Ah, the Purifier. What an undertaking! The work your father and his team did was amazing. The Brotherhood helped protect them, you know, at least for a little while. But we were stretched thin as it was, even back then. We had to pull our forces out. When we did, the place was overrun. I imagine that's when your father left. I'm sorry. I wish things had turned out differently.
Yeah, I am surprised that there is such a heavy Brotherhood presence here. You know, that they even train up initiates here at the Pentagon. You know, you would think that this would be almost entirely scribes, given that the Pentagon isn't necessarily like, you know, in real life, it is certainly more focused on intel and planning and stuff like that, rather than being a, I don't know, sort of boots on the ground military installation, as far as I know, right? I mean, I'm sure they have stuff like that, but my understanding has always been it's been more like, you know, people in desks, people at war tables moving little pieces around and stuff like that with a stick, right? People deciding whether or not they need to push a big red button. All right, that's all I need to know.
Very well.
Well, I have to go now.
I look forward to our next meeting.
Okay, well, I fucking don't. Pentagon Library Terminal. Should we read this? I suppose so. Report on UFO, codenamed Palandine. Further investigations into the UFO codenamed Palandine have confirmed our suspicions. On the evening of May 3rd, 2062, an alien craft of unknown make and origin did indeed breach the airspace just north of Hagerstown, Maryland, and crashed into a heavily wooded non-residential area. Unfortunately, attempts to retrieve the craft proved unsuccessful. It simply could not be located, either due to some kind of advanced invisibility shielding, or because the occupants managed to make repairs and vacate the crash site before our arrival. Despite our failure of recovery, the significance of this event cannot be denied. We are not alone. Whoa. Right. Yeah, they really lean into the UFO alien stuff with Fallout 3, right? Certainly. I mean, it does exist in Fallout 1 and 2, but it's sort of like on the periphery, right? I think almost exclusively? Is it exclusively as really high luck or like random chance encounters out in the wasteland? And that's about it. Whereas here, as we'll eventually see, if you're unfamiliar with Fallout 3, one of the major DLC, one of the 4 DLC, is entirely focused on aliens, right? And they play a pretty significant role in like regularly recurring enemies in Fallout 76. They have a decent presence in Fallout 4, but definitely way far less than in 3, right? 3 definitely takes the cake, undoubtedly, right? Okay. Project Brainstorm Report. Brainstorm Military/Cultural Center, 2076 Progress Report. Our flagship project, the Induced Patriotism Initiative, has met with resounding success. Our agents have successfully included covert and overt messages of extreme patriotism and loyalty into popular media ranging from the big screen to the Sunday funnies. Increased... Man, the Sunday funnies. I haven't heard that in forever. Good Lord. The Sunday funnies. Because I grew up super poor, I'm something of a time traveler. You know? I've traveled through time a little bit. But back when people used to get newspapers and stuff, for those unaware, especially if you're watching this video in the future, in newspapers, in the Sunday paper would often be printed in color, and it was significantly more expensive than your regular daily newspaper, right? Some people would only get the Sunday newspaper because it was so much more packed with everything, you know? They would just be like, I'll just get the Sunday one, you know? And, like I said, it was printed in color. It was the first one to be printed in color. But they also had little comic strips and stuff, right? This is where stuff like the Peanuts came from. Family Circus. I think Popeye was in there for a bit, right? These sorts of like old classic, like, I don't know if it's unique to America, but they were certainly a part of Americana for a long time. The Sunday Funnies. They were just like little stupid strips. Some Garfield. Gosh, how could I forget Garfield? A huge part of that. And eventually they started putting more and more of them in like more regular newspapers. And then eventually newspapers kind of died out, right? People had newspapers on their phone, effectively, right? Really wild. Anyway, increased military enrollment amongst target demographics serves to underline this success. Agent Webb has been particularly effective at influencing the music industry, and he has interesting proposals for the fields of organized sports, and even such notoriously difficult markets as comic books and toys. Man, that's wild. Which I guess is ironic because at least in America, once again, in real life, comic books and toys were actually not notoriously difficult at all, right? Very famously, stuff like Transformers, obviously stuff like G.I. Joe began, and like I said, in the case of G.I. Joe, persist as being something of like propaganda for the American military-industrial complex, you know? A lot of stuff like that, a lot of those like aimed at young boys, a sort of entertainment, ranging from, you know, comic books, toys, your Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that. A lot of them did have some degree of pro-military, go enlist messaging in them, right? Make no mistake about it. And then, of course, you can also see, like, the interesting entanglement of, like, American capitalism with the American military-industrial complex, right? Wherein, also, these same institutions would go on to be made to sell toys, right? A lot of them were made to sell toys as well, and comic books, as you can see here, right? It's kind of incredible. It's kind of nightmarish. It's such is the way of human history, I guess. A success in these areas would ensure early education with our message, and thus ensure a more dedicated and devoted nation for us all. All right. Mission Cloacina Report. Codename Cloacina. Development Report. Development of the mutant undermining life form continues apace, and the chief bioengineers are certain that they will be able to perfect these living weapons in time for our deployment into Red China. Once covertly released into an enemy's environment, their aggressive qualities, dangerous hunger, and pervasive breeding should severely undermine the infrastructure of the location in short order, softening the target for a ground invasion. What were they called again? Mutant undermining life form. Is this like FEV? Is that what they're referring to? Because of course here they sort of lampshade what ended up being the ultimate problem with super mutants, as was, you know, famously part of the like passive way of defeating the final boss, the like pacifist sort of route of using charisma and like science and int. I think in Fallout 1 you can defeat the master by pointing out like your plan is completely flawed and fucked, and one of the arguments that you make, and it is, there are multiple arguments that you make against them, but the fact that super mutants are sterile, they cannot breed. The only way more super mutants are made is through dipping through that old FEV tank. Anyway, at this point, the genetic kill switch can be activated, allowing for easy reclamation, not including a significant one-time cleanup effort. Current MUL development primarily uses genetic stock of rodents, particularly the common sewer rat, and progress has been significant. FEV testing has been rejected, however, as the results are sterile. Oh, here we go. So MUL is something else. Huh. Do we ever delve into more on MUL? I think that's completely new lore, right? Where is this being done at? It doesn't say. Is MUL what's used here in Fallout 3? And it's like meant to be a derivative of FEV? I forget the exact details of it. I guess we'll learn, right? Oh gosh, what was the first one here? Oh yeah, with the UFOs. Gotcha. Okay. Sure. Over here. Personally, I don't like it when they go too deep on the UFO stuff. You know, maybe I'm a spoiled sport, but I don't like it. I don't think it's that cool. I don't think it's that funny, right? I prefer Fallout to have the comedy on the periphery, right? I don't know. I think it's too tongue-in-cheek for me. It's too goofy. I don't like it. I don't like alien stuff. It's not that. I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'm a hater of Old World Blues. Old World Blues is my least favorite New Vegas DLC. I don't care for it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here, let's read the Vault Tech terminal. Let's forget about what I've said. Vault Tech Administration System Records Database 923-A. Network offline. Please check your local connection. DC area vault listings. I think this will give us areas on our map. Vault 76. Oh, you know what? I wonder if the location in Maryland, right, the crash site or whatever of the UFO, I wonder if that'll show up in maybe another game, right? In Fallout 76, you know? Anyway, Vault 76. Equipment issuances. Vault number 76. Starting construction date, February 2065. Ending construction date, October 2069. Total number of occupants, 500. Total duration, 240 months. Computer control system, brain power 4. Primary power supply, light life geothermal. Secondary power supply, General Atomics, nuclear power. Light life geothermal. We don't really ever delve into anything to do with light life. Non-standard equipment, none. Personnel assignments. Vault 76 goal summary. Vault 76 is one of our 17 control vaults. It will operate exactly according to the plan dictated in the marketing material produced by Vault-Tec, and precisely to resident expectations. This vault will open automatically after a period of 20 years, and the residents will be pushed back into the open world for study in comparison to the other experiments. Okay, project goals. Access restricted. Uh-oh. Back. Vault 87. Equipment issuances. Vault, here we go. Vault number 87. Starting construction date, May 2066. Ending, December 2071. Total number of occupants, redacted. Duration, redacted. Computer control system, Cyberbrain, version 2.3. Primary power supply, General Atomics, nuclear power. Secondary power supply, VersaCore, or Corpse, I guess, if you want to be weird about it. But VersaCore, fusion power. Non-standard equipment, Stasis Chamber 4, Plasma Containment Field 3, GEC 1, Food Processing Station 6. Unexpected end of file. Data corruption detected. Personnel assignments. Files corrupted. Please reinstall operating system software. No. Okay. Back. Project goals. Access restricted. Vault 92. Equipment issuances. Vault number 92, starting May 2062, ending May 2068. Number of occupants, 245. Total duration, 100 years. Computer control system, brain power 7. Primary power supply, General Atomics nuclear power. Secondary, none. Non-standard equipment, sound equipment, itemized in memo number yada yada, musical instruments, and recording equipment. Personnel, corrupted. Project goals, restricted. Okay, Vault 101, where we're from. Sort of. Oh, corrupted on equipment issuances, personnel, error, project goals, restricted. Okay, 106. Equipment issuances. Vault number 106, starting March 2064, ending December 2069. Total number of occupants, 95 subjects, 12 researchers. Total duration, 147 months. Computer control system, Think Machine 2800X. Primary power supply, rock solid brand, geothermal. Secondary power supply, General Atomics nuclear power. Personnel assignments. Oh. Vault 106 personnel assignments. Overseer, Dr. Albert Laris. Additional personnel. Archivist note. This information has been redacted at the request of Dr. Albert Laris of the Psychological Research Department and Chief Overseer of the Vault 106 project. All inquiries into the goals and research methods of Vault 106 are to be directed through his office. Project goals. Okay, right. Back. 108. Vault number 108. Starting March 2061, ending December 2069, due to work stoppage. Number of occupants, 475. Duration, 38 years. Computer control system, none. Primary power supply, General Atomics nuclear. Note, main supply designed to fail after 240 months. Secondary power supply, steam whistle mini geothermal. Oh my god, steam whistle. Note from admin. We are aware that the steam whistle is only sufficient to power this project partially. Please do not file any further reports on this issue. Non-standard equipment, defensive weaponry. Triple normal issue. Note, do not stack with standard entertainment. Do not stock with standard entertainment. Okay, personnel assignments. Overseer Brody Jones. Chief of Staff Zachary K. Jameson. Chief of Security Jarek Maddox. Morale Officer Nathan Aragon. Researcher note, all standard positions have been intentionally left unfilled and will be assigned by the Overseer according to the Vault 108 protocols. According to the pre-assignment medical tests, Mr. Jones has a genetic disposition for a rare terminal strain of cancer, which should ideally cause him to expire within 40 months of the project's inception. These two events should combine to allow a proper catalyst that allows this project to continue as planned. Right. Which, putting together large amounts of weaponry, not enough resources to go around. We get the idea. All right, project goals. Yeah, we don't even need to read it to get where they're going. And funnily enough, I learned this myself when I went through and did the playthroughs, right, on this very channel of Fallout 1 and 2. But it wasn't until Fallout 2 that the Vaults and Vault-Tec were given the sort of mandate, the sort of lore and world building wherein they're carrying out these fucked up social experiments on people, right? And that only a few of the vaults are like control vaults that have no weird ulterior motive, right? It was Fallout 2, which ultimately went back to like retcon stuff with Fallout 1. Which, of course, mind you, Fallout 1 conveniently kind of perfectly fits the mold, right? All things considered. But it's just never really talked about as if that's what's going on, right? Okay. So just, imagine if Fallout 2 were made by a completely different development team. And they made that kind of a change. All right. Vault 112. Equipment issuances. Vault number 112. Starting construction date November 2068. Ending June 2074. Total number of occupants 85. Total duration indefinitely. Computer control system Think Machine 3600R. Primary power Sure Power Geothermal. Secondary Extra Sure Power Geothermal. Non-standard equipment 12 147C robots, caretaker variation. 85 stasis pods. List of liquid nutrients detailed in memo number 943-B2. Right. Personnel assignments. Yeah. Overseer Dr. Stanislaus Braun. Additional personnel. None. Researcher's note. Due to the nature of the project in Vault 112 and the highly automated systems designed to support it, the vault requires only a single administrator. Project goals. Access restricted. Okay. And that's it. At least for the DC area vault listings. Vault Tech personnel assignments? Corrupted. Order requisition forms. Corrupted. Okay. Good read.
Hey, I found a... Damn it.
Need something, friend?
Never mind, it wasn't anything.
Maxon Archive Terminal. Welcome, brother. Maxon Family Dossiers. Roger Maxon. I guess we'll start from the top. Yeah. Roger Maxon. Born, not applicable. Died 2135. Second in command of the security team stationed at the West Tech Research Facility. Later relocated to the Mariposa military base. Assumed command after nervous breakdown of security team leader Colonel Robert Spindle. Executed scientists after learning of their research into the Forced Evolutionary Virus, or FEV. Deserted from military just before the war. Maxon ordered the families of all base personnel brought inside the facility, thereby sparing their lives. Led survivors in their exodus to the Lost Hills bunker. Maxon's wife was killed on the journey. All at Lost Hills, Roger Maxon formed the Brotherhood of Steel. As the organization's first High Elder, he formed the orders of Paladins, Knights, and Scribes. Maxon II. Born N.A. Teenager of unspecified age in 2077. Died 2155. Took over command of the Brotherhood of Steel as High Elder in 2135, when his father, Roger Maxon, died of cancer. In 2155, while hunting down a group of raiders known as the Vipers, Maxon, who was unhelmeted at the time, was grazed in the head by an arrow. A deadly viper poison killed him within hours. Right. And you fight the Vipers in Fallout 2? I think. Maybe in 1. I think 2. And you fight them again in New Vegas. Let's see. They aren't like a major antagonistic force, though, as this would maybe lead you to believe. John Maxon. Born 2097. Died N.A. Son of Maxon II. And grandson of Roger Maxon. A gifted soldier. John Maxon was promoted to the rank of Paladin at age 38 in the year 2135. Soon after, he was promoted once more to head Paladin. In 2155, Maxon was promoted to the illustrious position of High Elder, when his father, Maxon II, was killed in glorious battle with the raiders known as Vipers. Records indicate John Maxon had some dealings with a mysterious figure identified only as the Vault Dweller in the year 2162 at the age of 65. Right. And the Vault Dweller, of course, is the same one that you play as in Fallout 1, right? New entry, Scribe Arthur Maxon. Born 2267. Died nothing. only son of Jonathan and Jessica, both deceased, last of the Maxon bloodline. As an infant, sent to the Citadel to be fostered by Elder Owen Lyons. The reason for this decision was twofold. One, recent internal conflict amongst the Western Brotherhood of Steel created an unsafe environment for the child. It was believed that the Citadel, despite being located in hostile territory, would increase his probability of survival. 2. Elder Lyons, at that time, was in high favor with the Western Elders, and deemed a perfect candidate to provide care and training to the Squire. Recent events have led to a lack of communication with the Western Elders. As a result, Squire Maxon will remain at the Citadel indefinitely. Right. Okay. Back. State of Maxon. The state of Maxon in the New California Republic was built in close proximity to the Lost Hills bunker and enjoyed the protection of the Brotherhood of Steel. No additional information is available at this time. God, I completely forgot about this. State of Maxon in the NCR? Built in close proximity to the Lost Hills bunker. Right. A lot of this may get dug up and come into the light in the TV show, huh? Entirely possible. Okay, Diary of Roger Maxon, Volume 1. Holy hell, okay. Yeah, remember when I said that this might be an entire video of just reading and talking to people here in the Citadel? Well, October 10, 2077. I, Roger Maxon, Captain, serial number 072389, have started this log because it doesn't look good for any of us, and I'd like for people to know what really happened here. All hell broke loose when we finally discovered what those scientist bastards were up to. The Colonel has locked himself in his office and seems to be having some sort of a breakdown. The men are screaming for blood. They're looking to me for answers, and I'm not sure what to do. Someone has to do something, though, before this place sinks into an anarchistic bloodbath. October 12th. Every time we get a report from higher up, things get worse here. The war is going in a very bad direction, and this place is about to go into full mutiny, with all the chaos that entails. I stopped one of the men from executing a scientist today, and demanded that we interrogate them to find out what their orders were. 1 day later, October 13. I killed a man today. I was interrogating Chief Scientist Anderson, and he was giving me the full details of their inhuman experiments. He said his orders came from the government, but I didn't buy it. He started screaming about how he was following orders, how he was a military man, and I just shot him. I tell myself it was to keep him from causing a full mutiny among the men, but I'm not so sure. October 15, 2077. Mind you, this is the exact same month that the end of the world happens, right? October 23rd is the day. October 15. I tried again to speak to the Colonel through the door, but he seems to have completely lost touch with reality. I broke down the door with several of the men just in time to watch him blow his head off. Right before he pulled the trigger, he said he was sorry. October 18. By killing the egghead, I seem to have confirmed my position as leader of the men. They follow me without question now. The interrogations invariably end up being executions. Shellman held out the longest, but the end result was the same. Her arguments about her orders were a bit too specific to be completely made up. I'm getting a real bad feeling in my gut about how this is all going to end up. I don't even lie to myself anymore about my reasons for executing the scientists. Oh, whoops. October 20th. Days away, less than a week away. I finally replied to the outside world over our radio. I don't know why they never sent anyone here to see what was happening when we stopped responding to their transmissions. It doesn't make any sense. Well, they'll come now. I declared ourselves seceded from the Union. They remember Jefferson Davis. What will history say about me? Back. Okay, Volume 2. October 22nd. What the hell is going on? We declare ourselves to be in full desertion from the army and no longer under the government's command. And what happens? Nothing. Something bad is coming down. October 23rd, 2077, the day. I can't believe those bastards finally did it. Damn them all to hell. They finally let the A-bombs fly. We were right in the middle of trying to pry the real story out of von Felden when we completely lost contact. I have a feeling the research center was hit hard. I don't know why, just call it a gut feeling. It seems inconceivable that we were not targeted. I'm sure China will make up for that oversight real soon. Luckily, we had moved our families from outside into the facility the day before yesterday. We do not yet know if the fallout has reached this area. Fallout. Bum, 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 bum. Alright. October 25, 2077. Sergeant Plattner volunteered to go outside today to take specific readings on the atmosphere. It seems the radiation has not spread this far. Since he was wearing his power armor, there was no threat to him from radiation. But if he had been exposed, he would have had to be exiled. We don't have adequate decontamination facilities here. October 26. I convinced the men that we should bury the scientists. I don't know why. Perhaps it was to ease my conscience. I finally started to believe their stories when the last one was dying. My God, what have I become? October 27. We're leaving this godforsaken place today. I'm leading the exodus to the old government building, old government bunker at Lost Hills. I'm leaving this log behind to be buried when this place goes in the next exchange. Who knows? Maybe someone will find it someday. Wow. Okay. Sure. Anything else around here? Let's have a look. Pop this open. Anything else? Good, and we got all that. We'll leave that be. Okay, let's head to the B ring, I guess? Or should we go over here? Can we actually access the lab? I forget.
The Brotherhood is at your service.
Yeah, I think we can. Is this the lab? Yeah, laboratory. Where do we need to go for our quest? We need to talk to Scribe Rothschild. Okay, let's go to the lab. I think this is also where the vendor area is, right? I think. Okay. Hello.
Brotherhood is at your service.
Filing cabinets. Nothing much. Okay, over here. More cabinets. Sure. This leads out to the courtyard again.
Thought I heard something.
Enormous robot lord there. Okay. Over this way, filing cabinets again. 20 caps. Smithy. Citadel lab terminal. Let's read this real quick. Holy hell, it's a lot. Welcome, brother. AVF problem. Recent experiments with accelerated vector fusion, AVF, have not gone according to plan. All scribes assigned to the lab should come check with Scribe Rothschild on a daily basis and obtain any modified technical parameters as needed. Warning, leaky hydraulics. It has come to our attention that several scribes have slipped on hydraulic fluid near the eastern end of the robot lift. Until the offending pipes can be mended completely, please use caution in that area. Enclave tactical assessment. Weapons. Plasma-based, capable of molecular destabilization. Armor. Advanced Power Armor Mark II. Transportation vertibirds. Tactical assessment. The Enclave forces that have occupied Project Purity are nearly identical to those encountered on the West Coast in the year 2241. Threat potential, severe. Right. And I would imagine that at the time, if you were like a big Fallout lore nerd, right, this would have been really cool for you, right? Mind you, I don't remember at the time. Granted, I wasn't paying as much attention to it. I don't remember any sort of mass outcry about them writing new lore and sort of tying in, especially here at the Pentagon, they tie in so much, right? They pay so much due reverence to Fallout 1 and 2 here. Like, it's absurd, you know, all of this stuff written out. It feels like it's very much meant to be like, I don't know, in honor of those games, in honor of sort of what was written there and sort of like continuing on what they were meant to do, you know? These days, I feel like it's so frequent that we find such a cynical reading of what BGS was attempting to do here, and I really don't think it was ill-intended at all, right? I feel like that's like the wrong, incorrect assessment that any of it was meant with ill intent, you know? I don't think any creative person goes into such a thing with ill intent if the, like, source material is beloved and the people who made it are beloved too, you know? I think the only case where you go in with ill intent is if either the source material is fucking scuffed or the people who made it are fucking scuffed, right? And that simply was just not the case. If anything, most people on the planet thought that Fallout was gonzo until BGS bought it, you know? Anyway, let's see. GNR Battle After Action Report. It is the opinion of Sentinel Lions that the recent super mutant attack on GNR was not indicative of a larger assault, as was originally thought. Instead, the forces that attacked the radio station were probably en route to the mall to reinforce their own kind in a prolonged battle against the mercenaries of Talon Company. Really? Talon Company. General Robot Diagnostics updated. Scribe Rothschild has completed a new full diagnostic of the robot. Here are those results. Mobility, 0. 0%. Navigation, translation, 0. Internal processors, 87. Weapon systems, 60. Power management, 3. Voice module, 100. It is the assessment of Scribe Rothschild that once the power management issues are solved, mobility and navigation translation will jump to at least 50%, well within acceptable operating capacity. Okay. Notice, Redden funeral cancelled. Due to certain unexpected tactical developments, funeral services for Initiate Redden have been cancelled. A memorial service will be scheduled sometime in the future. Date to be decided. Was Redden the one that we had found at the GNR Plaza? I think so. The person who's like guaranteed to get killed there as the behemoth comes flying out. I think, but I can't remember.
The Brotherhood is at your service.
Okay, here we go. Free power armor, free workbench. Another terminal, more reading.
You
Hey!
honor us with your presence here.
Star Paladin Cross.
Hail to you. By the traction of hospitality and on the word of Elder Lions, I welcome you to the Citadel. I am Star Paladin Cross, Keeper of the Arm, and Seneschal to Elder Lions. And I am honored to say I was acquainted with your father. Now, what may I do to help you?
You knew my father?
I did, and you as well. Long ago, I helped guard the water purifier against the super mutant horde. When your father left, I escorted the two of you to Megaton. He was a noble man. I was saddened to hear of his passing. But from what I've heard, he died with honor. He died for you. I only pray that my own death has such meaning.
Wow. What a thing to say to me. I loved him so much. I'll never forget him. Why does it matter how a man dies? Death is death. He died as he lived. A selfish asshole. Well, let's say that.
Then you did not know the man. I knew your father. I knew his goodness. And I will not have you sully the memory of a noble man. Go now. I have nothing more to say to you.
Man. I mean, true enough, I really didn't... yeah, right, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, I guess there were, like, several years before he left again, you know? We had, like, our whole childhood, you know? We fast-forwarded through a bit of that. Okay, anything else?
We've said all that we have to say to one another. I will not have James disgraced by anyone, including his ungrateful child. Now get out of my sight.
Oh my gosh, it's so wild to hear her so pissed. She is, I was talking about her earlier in the playthrough, for the folks who are watching this that are completely unfamiliar with Fallout or Fallout 3. She is sort of one of the equivalent followers, one of the equivalent companions to Jericho. She's a follower that you get if you are a good karma sort of player, sort of lone wanderer, right? As idiosyncratic as that sounds, a follower for the lone wanderer. Okay, terminal here. Nothing. Got some power armor, of course. Sure, we read that terminal. Good lord, do I even remember where the vendor lord is? Is that it? No, that goes to the courtyard. We were just over there. Maybe down here. Who is this?
Hail.
There's a scribe. I remember always getting lost looking for the armory. There we go. Citadel lab terminal. Is this new stuff or... Okay. Duplicate of the one up top. Alright. Another one. Same? Yes. Okay. Free plasma rifle if we want it. Anything here? Oh, wow, okay. Weapon Information Research Database. Choose weapon. N99 10mm pistol. The 10mm N99 sidearm was standard issue military gear following the phase-out of the N80 in 2051. The N99 was known for its ability to survive in the harshest of conditions, and in many tests, the weapon was able to reliably be restored to working condition after an extended period of time exposed to hard elements and without maintenance. The N99 proved to stand up to its claims and, as a result, is one of the most common weapons found in use in the Wasteland. While many civilian weapons were ruined beyond use in the exterior conditions following the war, the N99 is commonly able to be easily restored to working order by anyone with the most basic knowledge of firearm mechanics. However, an N99 in poor condition can often deliver low target and low armor penetration, frequent jamming, and greatly reduced accuracy. Fortunately, the weapon was produced in great numbers, and units are available for replacement parts. Right. Yeah, I do like that they sort of make canon that the old model, the old look of the 10mm as it existed in classic Fallout still exists, right? Like, they didn't just completely change over and, like, update the model, but, like, more so, yeah, the old one exists too, right? Which eventually folks would go on to get annoyed with them at when it comes to power armor models and stuff like that. I guess that's a bridge too far for some folks, is sort of the effectively retconning into existence the, what is it, the T65? Is that it? Yeah, because in Fallout here, it's the, is it the T60? Or is it the T45? I think here in Fallout 3, the iconic Fallout 3 power armor is T45, right? And then in Fallout 4, the new one is either T60 or T65. I think it's T60, right? Yeah. And the original power armor, right? The original stuff in Fallout 1 and 2, and going forward, and as well as the poster child for 76, is the T-51B. right? And then the Enclave have their own offshoot of newer developed stuff, post-war developed alloys or whatever the hell, right? With their Enclave X01 armor and all of that. But I think the X01, as is seen in Fallout, the X01 as seen in Fallout 4 and 76 is not the same as Enclave power armor, right? No, it may be. It may be. I can't remember the exact details, right? Because, of course, X01 exists in Fallout 76, which I don't know the timeline on the Enclave developing their new power armor, right? Certainly, I don't think Hellfire power armor canonically exists in Fallout 76, right? I know, I'm pretty sure, like, skins, like cosmetic skins, which are non-canon, exist there, right? I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe it does canonically exist by then. I forget. Either way, stuff like this, you're gonna like end up with a fucking aneurysm if you pay too much attention to it, right? It's mostly unimportant, right? It's not exactly important to the storyline, right? That said, I don't know, can you blame people for wanting to get involved in the gritty details of a work of science fiction? I feel like that's always the case, especially, like, people are more forgiving and more willing to be kind of wishy-washy when it comes to fantasy, but when it comes to science fiction, people, I don't know, they tend to get really into the details and stuff. I almost wonder if that's born out of sort of Star Trek, and to a lesser extent Star Wars, but certainly Star Trek, sort of infamously or famously had these immense manuals that came out from that were like overseen by Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek himself, wherein they like described all of this useless information in like science fiction theorizing over how different things in the ships would function, how different stuff like the replicators would function. All sorts of like schemata and stuff were in these books that came out. It's really wild. I cannot help but wonder if that directly influenced that sort of what we see today, wherein people, like I said, seem to generally prefer like hardline facts and stuff in their science fiction. You want the blueprints, right? You want to know more about how things work. You want it to feel closer to real life, you know? I can't help but wonder if that is the case. Anyway, R91 556 assault rifle. The R series of combat assault rifles was used reliably following the discontinuation of the M series in the early 21st century. The R series, produced by civilian manufacturer Stent Security Solutions, was made in many models and variations. The variation most common to the DC Wasteland is the R91 Full Auto Urban Assault Rifle. This rifle was standard issue for the National Guard during urban pacification operations. Fortunately for our purposes, the Nation Guard had been fully deployed around the DC area during the time of the war. As a result, the R91 is readily available for those willing to search. Although nearly 2 centuries of scavenging has reduced the numbers of working units, the R91 remains a favorite of slavers and raiders. This rifle can also often be obtained from legitimate traders and arms dealers. Like any firearm, the R91's effectiveness and accuracy can suffer without regular maintenance. Alright, I would love it if going forward they like future-proofed the franchise, right? Because of course as we go forward, do you really just want to keep reinventing and remodeling the exact same weapons without ever adding any new ones in, right? I feel like, sure, you could make them all be post-war creations and stuff like that, or jury-rigged, whatever, you know? But I feel like there will always be a desire to sort of show off some new type of weapon, or like a redesigned classic. And I feel as if the answer is right in front of us, wherein it would be so easy to just like do a slight retcon, right? Because we're already having to do it every time we create like, this is how the 10mm looks here, right? It's from a different manufacturer. This one existed in this area or whatever. Just make it to where it was part of American culture, right? Make it to where pre-war American culture was so into guns and firearms and shit that different weapons manufacturers had like, you know, their own microcosms within American society, right? Wherein, you know, in the like Washington D.C. area, right? Around this part of the United States, this arms manufacturer was making a 10mm pistol. This arms manufacturer was making a laser pistol or a 5.56 assault rifle, right? In the Boston area, it was this arms manufacturer that was a lot more prevalent and had almost like production rights in this area, production and distribution rights. And you could have it to where like these arms manufacturers are fighting each other within the United States for trying to pump out as many different guns and ammunition within their own like proprietary design, you know? You could totally do that, and I feel like it's extremely believable. It would make so much sense within the Fallout lore, you know? God, what a great idea, honestly, that I just came up with right now. Right? Am I right or am I right? Is that not the perfect idea? Just retcon it and make more light of the weapons manufacturers and be like, yeah, they were so wild in this way. Because they already kind of do it a bit with, like, Nuka-Cola, right? Which already, you know, Nuka-Cola, I don't really, like, I feel like we give too much airtime to Nuka-Cola. Like, fuck off, Nuka-Cola. Fuck you. God. I get it. It's a delicious drink, and we don't need to all be talking about Nuka-Cola. Thank God the TV series, while I'm ranting about Nuka-Cola, let's just say, thank God the TV series didn't have all that much about Nuka-Cola because, you know, in its whole situation, they showed a whole bunch of, like, bottle caps and stuff blasting off the screen and allow their promo material, right? Thank God that wasn't really the case. Nobody ever really does anything with Nuka-Cola, right? I think I saw a post or a thread or something somewhere on some... It was either on, like, Reddit or Twitter or... God, I don't even know where. There's someone talking about, like, God, I wish they showed more Nuka-Cola in the Fallout show. And I was thinking... I'm glad they didn't. I'm quite glad we didn't get all of that rigmarole, right? And I think it exists just fine on the periphery of these stories, right? Even in an open world RPG of the sort of sandbox variety, I don't know if how much time I want to dedicate to exploring the intricacies of Nuka-Cola. Fuck off. All right. Let's see. AEP-7 laser pistol. The Fallout fandom. What a divisive mess. Fuck off, Nuka-Cola! Fuck off! The AEP-7 laser pistol was put into service to replace the AEP-5, a model which was notorious for its problems with overheating. The AEP-7 features a new design in the photonic focusing chamber, as well as an entirely redesigned focusing crystal pattern. The bulk and weight have both been reduced over previous models, and it was likely that within the new few development cycles, the successor to the AEP-7 would replace the N99 10mm as a standard issue sidearm for all forces. The AEP-7 took advantage of new manufacturing techniques developed shortly before the Great War. Although many were produced, most did not make it into field service because of logistics problems concerning their deployment during active wartime. The AEP-7 can be a rare find in the Capital Wasteland, and any models that are produced should be returned to the Citadel for repair and recalibrating before field deployment. Right. This is also actually one of the things that I do like about how Fallout 4 handles the weapons, right, in a sense. If you're not going to give equivalent... Right, I like how both Fallout 4 and New Vegas kind of handle this. They tackle it in two different ways. God, this video's gonna go on for so long because I can't fucking shut up. but okay. So the problem arises in Fallout 3 and 2 and 1. Suppose you create a character, right? and you don't really have any familiarity with any of these 3 games, Fallout 3, 2, and 1. You're like, I'm going to make a cool scientist character, right? I want to be a sort of rogue scientist, egghead type of dude. Obviously, I want to put points into energy weapons. If you do that, especially in Fallout 1 and 2, if you do that right out the gate, that's one of your tag skills, you're fucked. Because you're not going to find a laser weapon until significantly deep into that game. You know? Those games become, and Fallout 3, make no mistake, sort of shares in this. But it is significantly easier than the first 2. But you will have so many problems trying to find any type of energy weapon early on. There is no simple answer, right? So, the way in which Fallout 4 resolves it is by way of, we'll just classify weapons and stats, right? Your perk, instead of being like, I will specialize in energy weapons, I will specialize in ballistic small guns, right? Or big guns, right? Instead, I will specialize into, big guns still does exist as that sort of distinction. But instead, I will specialize into handguns, right? Any sort of handgun, non-automatic handguns, right? Which sort of meshes more so with the way in which the player interfaces with the game, in that, like, I'm a person playing the game, and I do prefer my character to be walking around with handguns that do not shoot automatically, right? Or I prefer two-handed weapons, two-handed guns, rifles, that do shoot automatic, right? That have an automatic firing mechanism, right? That is my preferred way of interfacing with the game world. That's my preferred way of going about combat. Similarly, I do think New Vegas actually has a superior answer, but it is a bit more of a difficult one to pull off. And instead of recalibrating the weapon systems, they just added in a shitload more weapons everywhere, right? If you want to be, you can still have, right? And this is why it's good. But like I said, it takes so much more work with the New Vegas system, is that it leans so much more into sort of character fantasy and archetypes, right? You get to have the idea like, I want to be a nerdy scientist type character, right? I'm good at science, I'm good at medicine, stuff like that. And of course, my character is going to shoot people with a laser pistol, right? I want to use laser weapons, I want to use plasma weapons, I want all that high-tech shit, because my character is some sort of rogue scientist or whatever, right? That's the character concept I have. You get to have that in New Vegas because they have made so many different weapons in that, right? They pumped so many ridiculous weapons into that game. They brought back old ones. They devised new ones. They jury-rigged up new shit. It's all over town. They even added in new types of ways of dealing damage with, like, thrown weapons and all that, you know? They fleshed out so much of it, all in the name of the character fantasy of, like, these archetypes, the various character concepts that you could have and play as in the world, right? They even built a perk system around it. That's why you have perks sort of like the cowboy perk, wherein you do good with a whole bunch of different weapons and stuff, but they're all themed around being a cowboy, right? Like, you're good with, like, the Bowie knife, but also revolvers, you know? And you sort of mix and match from there, right? I think I prefer the New Vegas system, but like I said, it's a lot more difficult because not only do you need to design all these weapons, but you need to physically have them placed in the world, and they're exotic versions. They're like unique versions. They're like the advanced versions of them that do a slightly different effect or more damage or better fire rate or whatever, right? You also need to place those within the world. And if your game world is like leveled in a certain way, you need to make sure, okay, all of our low-ranking, shitty pistols of these kind need to be kind of near the beginning of the game, and then sort of throughout, as the player goes to more high-level areas away from the starting area, in sort of anticipated areas, we need to make sure that we have these over here, and we have certain requirements just in case they skip ahead. We need to have it to where maybe they don't fire them quite as good if they lack the skills and stats and all of that. But if they do decide that they want to have that, they can, like, directly target getting those stats right away, right? That's why in New Vegas there are weapons that have strength requirements on them and shit like that, you know? Which I think is also a holdover from Fallout 2 and 1? Maybe just Fallout 2? I can't remember anymore, right? But I'm pretty sure there are strength requirements on, like, specifically big guns and all of that, right? It's so much more work, but it pays off, right? People tend to like it, right? But also, of course, with the Fallout 4 system, it would be remiss to not mention that they did also put a ton of work into it in a different vector, right? This is one of the weird hangups that people have with Fallout 4, is that it leans significantly less out of being a narrative role-playing game and more into being a sandbox role-playing game because of the weapon modding system, right? Which evokes so much more sandbox role-playing game than, you know, sort of like, oh, I'm coming up with a class fantasy, right? I want to be that rogue scientist. I want to be a cowboy, right? All that shit sort of is put to the wayside in favor of sandbox role-playing game stuff, wherein, well, I have a laser pistol. I will modify it and turn it into a laser rifle. I will modify it and turn it into a laser pistol that shoots a shitload of lasers at once at slightly less damage because it's like a shotgun. I will modify the same laser pistol to do better crit damage. This one sets people on fire, right? This one is good in VATS. This one is like a sniper rifle. You know, shit like that. Which does work very well in that system, but as is sort of the eternal issue plaguing Fallout, is that there's an issue of expectations wherein different people got to start in the franchise from different places, and they sort of have different expectations where they're like, oh, I played the game and I really liked it when it was like this, when it was more of a narrative role-playing game. I really liked it in Fallout 4 when it was more of a sandbox role-playing game. So you've kind of worked yourself in the way of wanting to be kind of unique and have your own take on the franchise. You've kind of worked yourself into a lose-lose situation where no matter what, unless you do even more work on it, right, to deliver to both of those groups, people are just always going to be unhappy because it's never going to fully fulfill their vision of it, right? There will always be someone who doesn't have their vision of what Fallout is be fulfilled, right? It would be different if there weren't a shitload of people who actually did like Fallout 4 and 76, right? But as it turns out, a lot of people, myself included, really enjoyed that game, right? But the ideal way to approach it as a player, the dream situation, is if you just liked it all in different ways, right? That's the way to go, is if you're just like, man, I did kind of like Fallout 1 and 2 and 3 and New Vegas and 4. Some of them not even for the same reasons, right? They're very different games within a similar framework, but they can play very differently. Anyway, sorry, good lord. What a fucking nightmare. Let's read about the laser rifle real quick. Hang on, what was it called again? The AER-9 laser rifle. Unlike many of the weapons in use today, the AER-9 is actually not the top laser rifle that was in service at the time of the Great War. The model line went up to the state-of-the-art AER-12, which saw service in a handful of specialty units. The reason that the AER-9 is much more commonly found is that it was much sturdier and more reliable than the models that followed. The AER-9 features a titanium-housed crystal array, which proved to withstand long years of exposure to the elements much better than the gold alloy housing of the later models. As a result, the crystal arrays stayed focused within the operating parameters, rather than falling completely out of focus like the newer models. As with all energy weapons, the AER-9 can suffer from poor performance if not properly maintained. The crystal arrays and non-mechanical components are delicate, and if not properly serviced, can lead to a loss of beam intensity, overheating, and energy regulation failure. My God. Well, we didn't get that far with all of our reading and talking to people. There may still actually be a lot of it when next we return. Hang on, can we even trade with you yet, Knight Captain Durga?
You again? Was
Me
I
again?
not clear the first time? I'm under order not to trade with outsiders for supplies. These orders come directly from Elder Lyons. If you've got a problem with that, talk to him. Quartermaster out.
My Captain Durga, I've never seen you before in my life. What are you talking about? All right, Jericho, we need to get permission to trade. All right. When next we return, we're going to keep talking to people in the Citadel. Holy shit. Until next time, please take care of each other.